Okay, let's do this.
Oh my god.
I think I have an intro.
Okay, hit us.
Please don't.
Please abuse us physically.
You ready?
Yeah.
Alright, welcome to Construction Inc., our special edition. Wow. Good start. Good start. Our special edition, 10th episode. And tonight, someone will die.
Okay.
Anyway, we're doing something a little special today. Well, first, I guess we should talk about our idea from our last episode, which I honestly have been thinking a lot about since we did it.
I'm glad you have.
Between two walls, I believe, are...
Yes.
I will say one thing that we maybe missed the goalpost a little bit on is we did make a movie about samurai, and we set it in China.
It is a series, I thought.
Yeah, well, our animated TV series, but I imagine it more like all the cultures have come together of Asia in this
We
area.
also did destroy about probably 75% of the Earth and left only a strip in the middle. So
But yeah,
I don't know location really.
It's
is
like
that
Earth
important for
Halo.
this one.
good news, Matt Damon's on board.
Oh, thank God.
Oh man,
So we got Matt Damon.
finally heard back from him.
Yeah, he actually wants to do all of our movies, but he's especially interested in Between Two Walls. So
I would
keep an
like
eye out for
Keanu
that
Reeves, so could we also hit him up?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
I'll
The
try.
knockoff Keanu Reeves.
I'll try to see if I can do it. But today we're going to do something special. It's 10 episodes, and we've earned a little bit of control in our fragile, complicated lives. So today, each one of us gets to pick one of the influences, one of the major events, and one of the inhabitants instead of rolling for it. However, none of us have shared with the others which of the ideas we're going to pick.
Right.
So we're going to start out with our three influences.
Can we do names really fast?
Oh yes, I'm Anthony Wilkinson.
I'm Josh Robbins.
Linnea Andersson.
And to start out, we'll go ahead and just let's let Josh start us out. What's our first influence going to be?
Underwater.
No.
Aha. It opens up a lot of possibilities. Just follow. Just trust me.
Fine.
Trust me.
Fine. Heard.
What's yours, Linnea?
Vaporwave.
Vaporwave.
Naturally, I've been wanting that all along.
These work well.
Yeah. I know
And mine is going to be children's.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so whatever we do has to be
PG?
yes, has to be modeled for children.
That's gonna make the next one kind of tough.
Now we get into our three major events. Josh, you want to start us out?
Time is is an actual event on our list, verbatim.
So
I think it's only appropriate for children.
We already have a swear. Okay, that's fine. That's PG. The new whatever.
Are we gonna bring in the bleep for this one?
I mean, we know
Yep.
the time is but we won't, the children won't know.
That time is
Interesting. They'll just know that time is messed up, but they won't know exactly
Time
the
is-
extent of how badly it is.
We can
Time
change
is
it. Time is wacky. Wacky doodle.
yeah.
Wacky doodle
Yeah,
dandy.
let's
That
do
was
it.
what was on the list.
Okay, well, on the cutting room floor. And our end
On the
result is going to be
cutting
time is
room floor.
wacky doodle dandy.
On the cutting room floor sounds like a song.
I can. That's a compromise that I can work with. Do I need to restart? Do
no.
I need to go back to mine?
Linnea, what's yours?
I think that I chose forced veganism.
Good lord.
Who came up with that, Tony?
I don't think it was
I
me.
think you answered your own question. I thought it was you.
I thought it was you. I don't
Interesting.
remember. One of us
Weird.
did.
Okay.
It was
And
not
my
me.
idea, I don't know why, I just want to do a superhero thing, so I'm doing widespread vigilantism.
I'll try to be more positive.
My goodness.
And now our final three are three inhabitants.
You first, Tony.
No, we're doing the
me
same order.
first.
Oh.
Shapeshifters.
Linnea.
Ghosts.
Hell yes.
Mm-hmm. Underwater vaporwave ghosts. Forcing people to be vegans.
Oh, slow down here.
So,
Sorry.
funny enough, mine was going to be ghosts,
Okay.
but now I gotta pick something else. So I'm gonna say dragons. Yes!
Underwater
Yes!
dragons
No.
written by
no.
Vaporwave ghosts.
No, we don't have to just do underwater. I think
Well-
it's just to be the major element of it. I think maybe the dragons could be above the water. And that's sort of their domain.
Where they usually are.
So there's the underwater. Well, hear me out. There's the underwater area, and then there's the vaporwave atmosphere.
Like the atmosphere of the air.
Yeah.
Like above the water is vaporwave.
Ooh.
But below the water is just regular wave.
Stop. That's what keeps them separated, is the actual waves.
So there's forced veganism, there's widespread vigilantism, time is all kooky wooky,
So this is going to be a very serious episode.
and there are ghosts and dragons and shapeshifters or some combination of the three.
Okay, whatever.
Alright, so this is going to be one weird children's thing.
Okay, so hear me out. What if it starts out, everything is dead?
Okay. Yes.
So are there all these
Great for
ghosts?
children.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is one of those things where, like,
Is this like
it's on the
before-
surface
before
level,
there
like,
was God?
well, on the surface level, it's gonna be like all these ghosts, like, hopping around, like having a good time underwater, and then the deep lore for the parents is gonna be that a great flood killed everyone on Earth and left only ghosts in the water.
I think we have our title.
Ghosts in
A
the
little
water.
premature, but
Ghosts in the water.
And I think maybe what caused this was, okay, the Earth cracked open like a walnut. The heat from the heat, just like how walnuts hot on the inside when you crack it open, the heat from the Earth went and melted all the ice, killed all the dang humans,
Ding
and then
dang.
all the dragons crawled up out of there
Out of
and
where?
were like out of the
center
earth,
of the earth.
where they live,
clearly.
and they
Hollow Earth theory.
popped.
Oh,
It was not
dragons
hollow.
are
It was
there.
full of dragons.
They just tightly
dragons
compacted,
and hots.
like-
Into a
Hot
core,
stuff.
yeah. That's why our core is molten, because it's actually just a
Yeah,
large
yeah,
collection
for
of
sure,
dragons.
For sure.
But then the dragons
Hear me out.
Hear me
got
out.
and now the dragons are like flying away. They're flying up all over the place, but they can also like shapeshift into like fun fish and stuff.
So the dragons are the shapeshifters.
Maybe. Who knows?
Why not?
I mean, it could also be the ghosts.
I mean, I don't see why the ghosts couldn't. I feel like that's just something ghosts can do.
Why? Yeah. So yeah, I think it might be more interesting to have the. Well, here's the thing. I mean, the dragons could be
Okay,
aquatic.
so
I've heard
everything-
of aquatic dragons.
Oh yeah, for sure, it could work.
It's like the Loch Ness Monster, but with wings.
Right.
So we have everything was dead before, and then
By the Great Flood.
by the Great Flood, that's our underwater, and then we have the dragons that exploded out of the earth.
Mhm.
Because why?
Because it cracked like a walnut.
Because the earth cracked like a walnut.
Because it was what?
I mean, it just
Why did
was
the
like,
earth crack?
Yeah.
I,
I mean,
I feel
why
like
does
this is
the-
where we can weave in vaporwave somehow.
Oh,
but I'm not
bro.
quite sure how we
I
get
got it.
there.
I got it. Cosmic meteor. Vaporwave cosmic meteor.
Oh,
Vaporwave
it's space.
meteor struck
Yeah,
the earth and
space.
split it like
Because
a
I see
walnut.
this being an animated thing. It's like the
Yeah.
regular Earth at first, but then
Yeah.
it's like this all spacey vaporwave meteor
Yeah,
that
this
comes
scene.
and like.
It's just a Julius Caesar bust.
And it comes in, and then it strikes the earth and it cracks.
And these dragons
It makes
crawl
them-
out.
Oh god, they're
Jeez.
so-
how are we gonna do this?
Perfect. I already love it though. It's already
feel like-
So what do these ghosts want?
forced veganism.
But I
Oh,
don't really
yeah.
want. I feel like because they're ghosts,
They're dead
forced into
because they
veganism.
are
I think-
animals that got killed.
I
and
think
that's why
so.
they want
It's a
veganism.
children's thing, so maybe this could be a pro-vegan book
Right.
or cartoon where the ghosts are convincing the dragons to become vegan so they'd stop overfishing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
there's a moral to the story.
It's
That's
for
the children.
For the children.
It's for children.
So there.
Oh man.
And the ghosts, though, like, I want these ghosts to have been fish ghosts. I mean, they need to be, like, related. Like, they have to have that motive to want veganism.
So maybe once again, we actually never rolled humans technically on this.
I thought humans were just,
No,
like,
they're not
given.
human ghosts.
We have a
don't
little
need
bit of
humans.
control.
I guess we don't.
I do like the idea that it's actually a bunch of fish that have to team up with their ancestors to convince the dragons to stop eating them.
So,
I
real
think
fish plus fake ghost fish.
shape-shifting ghost fish.
Yeah. Because it's more. Well, also, I kind of like the idea. What if these fish are less of like these individual beings and more of like this collective thing?
Oh,
So it's
they-
like the
they can
spirit of
form a
the
thing.
ocean.
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
And so like the ghosts are. It is like a big, massive fish ghost,
Mhm.
and it's like we're following the story of this like wimpy little tuna that has to get past all these big sharks and sea monsters.
And because of the properties of the Vaporwave meteor, right? It has now made also air breathable for fish. Hear me out.
So they can get
They
up
can rise
above-
up.
They
Yeah.
can get up out on the.
Well, I feel like the ghost fish wouldn't necessarily
But
be
they-
encumbered by the water.
So then it's just like half of the being is rising up half the time.
I
I
feel like
thought they were both the live fish and the dead fish coming together into one entity.
I know
Right,
at first.
so the
I know.
ghost fish can go up, but the live fish cannot.
Yeah.
I know at first we talked about separating into like the sky and the ocean and having one be vaporwave and one be like the ocean. But now I'm thinking like we don't ever need to really go above the surface. The dragons can just live under the water and the fish can
I
live
mean,
under
I
the water.
really like the aesthetic though of like this like peaceful ocean and then just like Vaporwave background.
Well, I mean, but
Yeah,
I think you
I'm
can still
saying-
get that
I mean,
while
I think
being
you still do that,
underwater.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like we could still be like it's just like. You know, you'd have like your sea floor, and then you'd have your vaporwave ocean. Like after the bust hits, it scrambles everything up. And
I don't know. I'm hooked. I want the skyline. I want the skyline.
Well, you
to
can
be
still
set
have a skyline. I'm just saying I don't think any of the story takes place there. Like
above,
you
above
could, you
ground.
could, it would start out with like in the sky, like sinking down into it, and then we would be underwater, and it would take place in all these different underwater environments. You know, where we could be in like underwater caves and you know on the seafloor in the middle of the ocean, coral reefs, all this other stuff. Like a vaporwave coral reef would look really
So-
sick, actually.
What time is
I said I think the overlying
Time is
issue
wackety doo dah.
my bad?
Is
Time
it-
is wackety. That
isn't necessarily like a real fish versus dragons thing. I think that could be like an underlying like sort of like another plot line we can go down. But like I think the fact that time is wackety doo dah is probably the biggest issue we gotta figure out.
I had it for a second. I do have it. Okay. So
What if? Sorry, you say your thing.
yeah. So basically, and again, because I really want the above ground, that time above the water works on a different timeline. And then below the water. So it's like, let's say things moved faster, or time moved faster or slower above ground. So that would allow us for like opportunities for things to develop above ground quickly, or for, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just like an element.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, what if like sorry. Lost my train of thought on that one.
Yeah.
What if?
Cut
Okay,
that.
here's another idea.
Dope.
Here's another. I don't necessarily hate that. I'm not trying to poo-poo it.
Oh,
But what is time besides our perception?
correct. Here we go. Existentialism.
And so you could say like time. Could you say that the amount of time in a day would be one way to measure time? What if when the dragons flew up out of the earth, they changed something up in the rotation, and it's spinning faster and faster as it goes along. And if they don't get the dragons back in that ding dang thing, it's gonna spin all the fish right off the planet like a centrifuge.
Okay.
So like is the Earth like not like fully cracked in half, but like so like 3/4 of the way split?
I pictured it more like it was just kind of like a
fissure, yeah.
like there's a big
So like
ravine.
Mariana's Trench.
Yes, a big trench.
That's where it started. There we go.
I mean, we can do the two different times. I would just, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the Earth is just continually spinning faster, and that's causing like there could even be a fun scene where like towards the end when it's accelerating super fast,
Mhm.
like you see the water is no longer even touching the ocean floor, so the Earth is like there's this little ball and there's this ring of water around it that all the fish are in.
That's so
like
cool.
when you were a kid, like you had some of the small pool, you'd all like walk up in the same direction and create kind of a whirlpool.
Yeah.
They have to convince the dragons to spin in the opposite direction to
Oh,
slow down the
yes.
spin of the Earth.
Because maybe at first they want to tell the dragons to go back to the core because they'll fix it, but then they learn it won't fix it. But instead they have to team up with the dragons.
And they have to just swim in the same direction.
Yeah.
So I just want to touch again on that aesthetic. So it's a Earth surrounded by water that is separate from it.
Yeah.
Which is fucking dope. Okay.
So the water's just kind of in zero gravity, just
Yeah.
sort of like whole Earth almost turns into a Saturn.
yeah,
more of a
exactly.
Saturn
Like a coated Saturn.
Interesting.
And maybe the forced veganism thing. That could be a way. Maybe that's a way because we moved away from it a little bit. Because if they're trying to get the dragons to stop the Earth from spinning, it seems also weird that they're also being like, also don't eat fish.
Well,
maybe it is something more like the inhabitants of the ocean
Let's
would do a
redefine
Zootopia
veganism.
kind of thing.
Let's redefine veganism.
well, I mean, I think maybe the first
Sorry.
issue with cooperating with the dragons is that they have to stop, like, convince them to stop eating the fish.
Well,
Sort of like a Finding Nemo, fish are friends, not food,
But that's
sort of
like-
that situation.
But in Finding Nemo, that's like a
Yes.
side plot. This is kind of
Exactly.
it feels like a hat on a hat kind of deal.
Mm.
If you're like, we got to stop the dragons from eating us and also from destroying the world.
Fair enough.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is I'm thinking, one, either it is kind of a major side plot with another character or something, like they're teaming up with a shark, or we could kind of do it in like a Zootopia kind of way, where it's
Define
like
Zootopia.
in Zootopia, the predators and
Oh.
the prey live together in harmony. Except like the plot of the movie is that
I thought it was
the
the
prey
Sims
start
game.
to go
It's not
crazy.
the Sims game.
What?
No.
The what?
It's the Sims game? Like,
Oh, the Sims game. No,
No.
in Zootopia,
What?
the predator and the prey.
like
they
Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's
Zoo
like that.
Tycoon. Zoo
Oh,
Tycoon.
okay, my bad.
Same exact thing.
But
Definitely same story.
anyway, the predator and the prey have learned to get along, and so maybe something about the extinction of humans has allowed these fish to thrive so much that
Right.
in this way we could have a shark that teams up with like an eel and a crab and a tuna, and
And
like
a
we have
beluga.
And they
right.
embrace their differences and work together
Right. There's like a big whale who thinks he's too chubby.
for the children.
For the children.
Well, I mean, it's about
For
body
the children.
positivity.
Absolutely.
like,
No.
they
Sorry.
each have their their sin.
When they ask why, it's for the children. This whole thing
For the
for
children.
the children.
And they gotta, and they're on this quest. They're a bunch of youngsters, and their parents are ignoring the issue because they're a bunch of boomers,
Yeah.
and they have to go
That's
find,
a political statement.
and they have to go find the dragons themselves, and they go on this grand adventure through all this time and whatnot. And there could be a fun sequence where maybe I do kind of like the idea with the road. I did like the idea of there being some kind of like time dilation at one point where we could see him like grow old and young and stuff like that.
So the
think
dragon's home base is on the Earth, the rock in the middle, right?
Ooh.
So
Hmm.
it I guess the quest is them having to go deeper and deeper.
Into the rock, or who is they?
Our group of fish friends.
Okay, so we've given them the ability to leave water.
No.
No.
But can they drag the water with them to go to the rock? Because they are currently on the outside with a certain sphere difference,
Yeah, well, when I was saying the Earth is spinning faster, I was saying like it's getting faster and faster. It's not until like the finale that we have separation of the water.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like our base state.
I mean,
That's cool. I mean,
it could be, and it could be getting wider and wider. That's a
Right,
possibility.
that's
That wasn't
what
what
I
I was
thought.
picturing, but we
Yeah.
could start with it's already.
Because like the risk of it
creating this
getting
ring.
wider and wider is that eventually the water will just finally lose its traction to itself. Because apparently water is sticky, and
And
then
then
explode. That's okay.
Um,
And then explode and pull away from itself.
yeah.
All the water.
And once it gets too far away, and that's one of the things that starts getting so big that they see the outermost layers flying off into space, like the very outside. They're seeing water drop. The fish notices they're playing near the edge. They see the very top of it start to fly away, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on here? What are we-"
Exactly like
And they
that.
don't tell their parents, and they're like,
Yeah.
their parents are like, you kids, we don't worry about that. It's been fine for years, and it'll
So
be
we
fine
do
for
have
years to come."
humans,
And they're
right?
like, the world is gonna be destroyed if you don't do something, you boomers.
you boomers?
And then they're like, don't you talk to me that way.
That's a slur.
And then they send them to their coral. But okay, I like these ideas.
Yes. Gold.
So the ring is getting bigger, and the dragons do live at the very most
Honestly.
center point on the thing. And so like the end is them. They're having to like the very one of the climaxes before the false climaxes, I guess I would call it, because then they find out the solution is in getting the dragons to retreat back. Is they have to like jump out of the water onto the land, and they're like sitting there flopping around, and then the dragons help them, like they can put them in water or something like that
Right.
and help them out.
Like
And they get the water to return back to the earth somehow.
Okay, slingshots.
And so I like the idea. Maybe the ghost is more like the spirit of the ocean, and it's this
bigger thing.
This being that
more
they're
mythical thing.
Yeah, that they're able to call on to aid them at certain points, and so like at some point, because I think it might be a little bit weird for them to have a whale log with them, but one thing when they need something big moved out of their way, they get a whale to help out, or
so define vigilantism.
Frick, I forgot about this.
I know. I just because it looks like veganism. It's very vigilant veganism.
What if our
they gotta fight crime.
Yeah, but could you define vigilant for me, for everybody?
Vigilantism. It's like someone who, outside of the normal venues of law, pursues justice.
Alrighty.
It's like superheroes.
Oof. I broke the cup.
So,
man, we were so close.
I feel like not all fish in the sea get along. And so
Yeah.
I feel like maybe our band
moment.
of friends that we follow is sort of the small group of vigilantes.
So maybe they're already vigilantes.
Yeah, I think that's how we start. Like, that's just why they're together. Sort of explains their backstory real quick and easy.
Yeah, they're a team of crime-fighting fish.
I suppose.
A team of
That-
crime-fighting fish.
That they need to get to the earth, the center of the earth, to tell the dragons. What is that?
It's for the children.
It's for the children.
They need to get to the center of the earth. So they we open on these fish fighting other fish. It's this big crime fight where they're doing all their stuff.
Why are they fighting?
Kablam.
And they
Why are they fighting?
because they're just trying to do good.
The other
And
fish are
it's
trying to
during-
rob a fish bank.
And as they're arresting this final fish from breaking into the Benko fish, that's when they notice the water's going, and they're like wondering about it, and they're like, "Oh, I guess it's not that big a deal." But then, like the smart one is all like, "Oh no, something's going on here," and they think about it, and they figures out, and they tell their parents, they're like, "Oh no," and now they're journeying to the center, and this does actually give them ways to have these separate little side conflicts, because as they're going down, they keep getting distracted because they keep having to solve crimes and mysteries.
I think there's a better way.
You mentioned earlier that these ghosts could be more of like the spirits of the ocean per se.
They're having to solve the murders of no.
What if they just have to find these spirits of the ocean so they can talk to the dragons?
They need to build a
So
bridge
it's
out of dead fish spirits,
Yep.
so they can get to the core of the earth. That still doesn't help us. Why do they fight crime?
the ghost fish are going to deal
so there
with
is
the
no
dragons.
crime. That's the issue.
But our band of
Maybe
fish are going to fight crime. and
could
keep
we say to
underwater
get the
safe
spirits? Could we say to get the
spirits.
spirits to aid them? They have to do all these favors for these towns. It's basically like them fighting
do
crime.
we have humans
Yes.
or not?
Yes, these different ghosts. We don't. These different
Who
ghosts of the
inhabits the towns? Fish?
other fish. It's for the children.
It's for the children.
Everyone on Earth is dead, Linnea. It's just fish.
It flooded. All the icebergs melted.
And the fish are super smart. I got it.
Well,
I mean, smarter than our fish.
there are worse kid shows.
Finding
far
Nemo.
worse.
Finding Nemo.
Exactly.
Like
None
the
of that's
fish in
bad
Finding
by
Nemo
any
don't act
stretch
like
of the
fish.
imagination.
They have like ideas and aspirations, and they love and they procreate for fun, maybe. And
Keep it for the kids, Tony.
I think that clownfish.
Oh, the
I think
children.
that now, kids, look away for a second. I think that clownfish was trying to lay pipe on Dory.
Okay, yeah.
So like, there.
And she wouldn't even remember. Oh my God, Bill Cosby. Anyways.
For the
For
children.
the children.
Anyway, our group of fun fish friends has to go and get the spirits of the ocean to help them out by solving mysteries around the ocean, so they can make a spirit bridge to get to the magical dragon, so they can reverse the polarization of the earth and prevent the ocean from flying into space.
Oh, that was perfect. Well said, Tony. That was good.
So who makes up our band of fish friends?
I definitely want there to be a shark.
Okay.
I want a beluga.
It's a beluga. I think a tuna.
An otter.
Otter
No.
fish.
I mean, neither are belugas or sharks.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want an otter. I
I mean-
changed my mind. They
I mean,
rape
an otter
seals.
would be cute, but I don't think it works. Maybe a crab.
They rape baby seals. I just learned that. It's okay.
Maybe a crab.
Okay.
A fun little crab boy.
Yeah.
It's like an octopus.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes,
So
I
wait.
do want an octopus.
Or do we want a squid?
Crickets.
Or do we want both?
No, we just
Maybe
need one. They fit
I
the same
like
niche.
if we did do a little squid, then their parents could be a giant squid.
Oh, you know, it'd be kind of funny.
Or
And
the
that'd be a
little
fun.
The little squid could turn in, or like grow into a giant squid and intimidate people.
What
for
would be
information.
That
what
could
would be
be-
funny? What would be funny from a weird kind of like BoJack stance? Is like we have both a squid and an octopus, and they both obviously fill the same typecast, and so they're constantly competing for the same typecast. Side note comedy. Do you see what I'm saying?
And plus, the more characters we do, the more children's memorabilia we can sell. Because that's what every children's movie is about, is how we're going to merchandise this.
Why did your computer close?
Because I don't need it anymore.
Oh, I like seeing the words. I'm just so
I mean, I
used to
can
the
open- I
screen.
can
I'm just
open
so
it
used to
back
the
up.
screen always being like lit, you know?
Mhm.
No? I mean
But, yeah, so... well, we got. Let's think of names and personalities for these fish.
Okay.
Let's start back over. We have a shark.
what if we base each of these, like at least 3 of them off one of us, and then the other 2 has to decide what that looks like?
This is
Okay.
for the children, and I don't think I'm a child appropriate character.
So we have a shark.
Lenny.
Maybe his name is...
No.
No, I'm so sorry.
Melnerd?
I was going to say either Mako or Rex.
I want, like, Melvin. Like, I don't know why that's.
Oh, maybe he's like a little nerdy shark, and
Yeah.
all the other sharks are kind of like mean to him.
And that's what makes him a vigilante, of course.
Well, but he's like the smart science boy.
Yeah.
But he's also like big and has the big scary teeth.
Yes.
But they have braces.
All right,
Perfect.
I'm here for
And
it.
so, yeah,
All right,
10 out of 10.
So-
Marvin,
Melvin?
Melvin,
Yeah.
Melvin the Mako.
Mhm.
Melvin the Mako. All right.
So Melvin the Mako, he's the nerdy science one. He's like the brains of the group. Maybe he has just a little Austin Powers reference. Can he have a laser pack on him that he
Yeah.
built? Like he has,
Why
like,
do
he
I
has, like,
see this
gadgets.
in my head already? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 He has gadgets.
He gets out of every situation.
Vaporwave.
Oh
And
my god.
Vaporwave.
Yes.
then there's
And for our okay, so for our 2 squid / octopus people that kind of occupy again the same typecast, they're both kind of like the casual
can they
stoner
both
but not
be
a killer.
adopted
Yeah,
by a jellyfish?
yeah,
Their parents is big
for
man
fucking
boar
sure
jellyfish.
because it kind of looks
Big
similar.
old jellyfish.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, I like that.
And they're both they're like brother sister.
I picture them both same gender, like they literally are
That
like
can be.
competing typecast.
So-
You know, they say lines at the same time, and then they just look at each other like, "What the?"
I imagine 2 brothers, and I imagine they're pretty small.
I feel like they get along
Well, but I think it's more like it's like the
for the children.
For the children,
what's the 2 baby siblings from Rugrats?
them.
Well, that doesn't help us right now.
I know.
I imagine something like they're
Lily
constantly
and
like they're very
Lily.
friendly to
Lily and something, right?
Dilly,
I don't
Did-
know.
Phil, and
Phil.
Dill,
Phil and Lil. Phil and Lil.
Lilo.
It's
and
Phil and
Stitch.
Lil.
Lilo and Stitch. That's it. That's
But no, I mean,
the-
I think it's something like they're constantly like they're like, well, I want to do this, and the other one's like, no, we gotta do it this way, and like, blah, blah, blah. like like they're just back and forth, very high energy.
But they always settle their differences and eventually get along.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe a fun little thing is
Yeah.
like, could they actually have superpowers?
Yes,
Fuck it.
please.
Yeah.
So what I kind of like
The
the idea.
Vaporwave asteroid gave them superpowers.
I feel like the octopus and the squid could be our shapeshifters.
They find the remains of the Vaporwave asteroid towards
And
the
they get
beginning.
It's
Powers,
just
and it makes
it's
them-
a smaller bust of Julius Caesar.
Well, it's like slightly just shattered on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what makes them vigilantes because they now have superpowers and
Yeah.
they can make change. Like,
And so they can the octopi and squid can grow.
Yeah.
And, like they can like stretch really.
oh,
far.
sort of like the Incredibles' wife.
Yeah,
Okay,
but not as thick.
hold up.
For the children.
For the children.
Then we got those 2. Then we got an eel.
Oh, we do.
Ooh,
I
Okay.
like the idea of there
I like
being
it.
an
Wait,
eel.
yeah, why not?
Okay, and then he can.
Um,
His power
Eli.
is that
Eli the eel.
he can like ribbon and kind of like slice.
Could his name be Vasa?
That's so much
Because
better.
that's some more real.
There's a reference here. I'm missing it. What is this reference?
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's some more real.
Okay, sure.
Italian?
Okay.
He's gotta be Italian.
Okay.
It's an Italian eel. I mean, the lazy thing is his
He's spaghetti.
he has like electric powers. But I like the idea. Maybe he has just various elemental powers. Like he can do more than just electrocute things.
So before he could just electrocute things, but now he can burn things
But
underwater.
hold up,
Like, do we want to throw that in there? Can that be there?
Hold up. He's he's not a chef. Sorry. He's just Italian. Okay.
No, but I like where this is going.
So we have an Italian chef.
I do like the idea that he likes to cook.
Yeah. Right? And like him and his family can become spaghetti. And in the process of becoming spaghetti,
What do you mean you want to be a chef? That's we named you. You're gonna carry on the family business of running electricity
And
through the
they
coral
fly.
hole. We're
And
the
they
electricians
fly.
of this community, and we always have, and we always will be. You can't be a chef.
But I want to cook.
And he gets the power to heat up his body, in addition to just
Yes.
having his basic electrical things, and he
So
uses
he
that
can-
to help him cook.
so,
What does he
yeah.
He boils water and makes some pasta. I mean, he could cook crab cakes now. That's more.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Well,
say,
we have to have
wait
a
a
forced
second.
veganism in there.
I mean,
So if that's forced veganism,
like a
is the fish
seaweed-
just don't eat other
they
fish.
basically just make
Seaweed.
pasta out of seaweed.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And some of the squid ink from, like
Yeah.
squid ink seaweed pasta.
Yeah, I
It's
mean
a
that's
thing.
like
It's,
there it is.
bougie.
We didn't name our squid and octopus. I kind of like the idea of doing like the rhyming name thing.
Yeah. So, say the name of the eel again.
That's
Thassa.
that's the moray eel. We have Melvin the mako.
The octopus. Okay, let's name the.
If we really wanted to be meta, I like the idea of like one of them being named something that makes a lot of sense, and the other one just being a very clear. So like the squid is named like
Octopus.
Slink or something like that.
No, the squid is named Octavia.
Okay.
There we go.
Octavia and Squidward.
we can do this. We can
And-
do this.
Penta.
Hmm.
Sophocles.
Do squid only have 5 things?
Mm-hmm.
They really do?
Yeah, they're 5. Yeah. And the octopus are 8.
Octavia and Pentavia.
And Pento.
But
because
they're-
it's a boy.
So it's Octavia and Pento?
Yeah, potentially. But Pinto because we're
Okay. Octavia and Pento. And then we need a crab. A crab.
Sebastian spelled backwards.
No.
I couldn't even.
What's the crab's power? Maybe he has like
Let's not-
super strong claws.
But that's obvious, right?
They're like metal.
So he can turn his claws into metal.
Oh my god, I got it. So you know how crabs move sideways when they're facing forward? So they can.
Is he really fast?
But hear me out. It's a little different.
He's
I want to play on the fact that this creature moves sideways while their line of sight is forward all the time.
He have 2 guns.
Something about X and Y axes. Something about
So you give him 2 sets of eyes, one on the front, one on the side? I don't know.
that would repair some issues.
I like the idea of him being very fast.
I mean, he
He's
should be
just
very
speedy
fast, but I
crab.
want it to be a little bit more than
I
that.
mean, he's very fast, but he can only move one direction. He can't
Right,
move
so-
diagonally.
So, oh my god, that'd be so funny. So it's sort of like in the scenes, like yeah, exactly. Is that he can't just head straight into action. He has to like
Figure out the
Only-
right angles.
he only can make like left and like
And
90
then told
degree
Reels he
turns.
can
Yeah,
teach,
yeah,
he can
90 degree
teach
turns.
kids about geometry.
exactly yes
And about how important it is to learn
math.
math so that
Maths.
he can calculate
In other countries.
the most efficient ways to get to his destination.
Yeah, I think
So
that
maybe
would be
he
hilarious.
can also move diagonally, but like has to like stop before he changes
This
directions.
is starting to feel less like a movie or TV show or book, and more like a cool math games, kind of like
PBS.
internet.
I was thinking like Magic School Bus type kind of show.
Yes, Between the Lions.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I was saying, like, did you guys ever have to play those games in elementary school when, like, the teacher didn't want to actually give you work, and they're like, just go on this website, and it would be, like, this
Cool math games.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm not saying it could be a TV show. I'm just saying this has very high
resale value.
as a educational website.
Okay, I know I've talked about this tuna a lot. How about maybe this is the classic story. The tuna doesn't get any superpowers, but he still wants to be a superhero. And then he ends up finding out in the end his superpowers is something he didn't realize. Like, he's the only one who can talk to the dragons or something like that. Like, his superpowers, he can communicate with anybody.
Tiny
So, like,
T for short.
Okay, so like the power
Tiny
of
tuna,
language.
Tiny tuna.
The power of language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Or
like, what if he like gets like random like visions or like sees things in his dreams?
Oh my god! What if his powers? He doesn't need water to breathe, but he doesn't know it.
Can we make
ever.
him a flying fish then?
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could.
That he's scared of flying. That's what makes him prone to be a vigilante because he's an underdog.
Yeah, and so he's
Kind of
always
fish.
fighting his best, but he's always kind of like he's always the one getting in trouble, and they're always having to kind of bail him out because he bites off more than he can chew.
See, I pictured him as like straight up insecure and scared because like his whole family's like leaping in the water, whatever, and then like he's like, no, like I'm scared for some reason.
Well,
I don't know. I kind of like.
And then he overcomes it in order to communicate with the dragons.
I feel like maybe he is like the flying fish don't think that like going above the surface of the water is like safe anymore.
Okay, so
Like the
the
atmosphere
flying
that's
fish
created.
culture is that they no longer fly.
And he just and I like the idea. Now, and there are two ways to take this character. One is he could be very timid, and the other could be that he's very brave and like
Right.
wants more out of life.
Okay.
But and then him and his friends get these superpowers, but he doesn't get any. He just feels like he doesn't
I
have
like
any.
that. I like that.
And but then he finds out when they do get to the core, and he's the only one brave enough to jump out and go to him. He finds out he can breathe and he can fly and this other stuff.
And conveniently speak to the dragons.
Yeah.
I feel like any of the fish could speak to the dragons, but like not from underwater.
Well, yeah, and then he brings the dragons back with them, and the dragons are like, "Hi guys, you did such a good job. Now it's our turn to help out save the world."
Did you realize?
So
So
we need a member of our fish pack
We
that
need
is a shapeshifter.
beluga? Nah.
Oh shit! Yeah, shapeshifters or something.
I mean,
I was thinking it was the spirit of the ocean could be the shapeshifting.
okay, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I
There
think
we
that's
go.
the thing is that these spirits can take the form of different things, and then
So I mean, it would have to be the octopus that's shapeshifter if we had one, because that is what they are naturally.
I think what we're missing is the big strong boy.
Yeah. Let's make it something unsuspecting.
A shrimp.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. One of those ones that sees all the colors that we can't see.
Pistol shrimp.
That.
Pistol
That.
shrimp.
I thought it was.
I'm pretty sure it's a pistol shrimp.
I thought it was mantis shrimp. But they shoot pistols. They
Is
do.
that the one that can like
See
punch
23,000.
so fast it evaporates water? Or whatever?
Yeah, and it can see like 23,000 colors or something.
They got all the. They got
It's
them extra
got
cones.
extra, bunch
Got
of
them
extra cones.
And
in
we have
their
a really
eyes.
strong. A really
The
strong.
iris.
Got a really strong shrimp. His name.
Rods and cones. Rods
Jumbo.
and cones.
Jumbo.
Jumbo.
Good. Yeah, he has to have a super deep voice too.
Yes.
I mean, like the first time we meet him, it's like off screen. He's like calling in the room. It's like, hey, and we're hearing just like crashing. Well, okay, I guess the first time we meet him is before he has powers, but we just hear him. He's like, "Hey, what up?"
Like this.
And he cruises into
It's
the
like
scene. It's like
jumping.
vaporwave.
And it's like it's the classic thing
rainbows
when
and,
we have
like,
the big. It's like it's a shadow at first makes him look really big.
Yeah.
And then he walks up, he's really tiny.
Is it what's good? And he
Yeah.
has like a blaster somehow attached to his little claw.
He is the blaster.
Yeah, but that's what I'm it's
Nah,
become
man,
part of
Jumbo don't need a gun.
it.
Jumbo only needs all two of his fists. I don't know
How
how many
many
hands. I don't know how many hands a shrimp has.
So they
All
have
these
two
cones
claws, and
and
I'm pretty sure they have
eyes.
6 legs, if we're being accurate. And
But
not, here's the real
I
information.
just love the idea of this shrimp after he gets his superpower lifting up these big rocks. I think that's a good team. I feel like we have all the bases covered.
Squad.
It's kind of
Can
male.
Jumbo be
It's
a
kind
girl?
of male centric.
I was
right
about
now.
to say, can the Jumbo
Yeah.
could be a girl.
Why not?
Well,
So we have two girls. We have one of the twins.
so does she still have a really deep voice?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, you got that like kitchen vibe.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And yeah,
She
so
works in mechanics. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, and so they all have they have their parents and their struggles, and they find the Vaporwave bus that gives them their superpowers. And they fight. And
I just pictured a Vaporwave bus instead of a bust, and I was like,
two.
yeah, and
Vaporwave bust.
And their first time that they go to stop a fish crime, they discover that some of the water is floating away, and then they put it together that the
okay, yeah.
or maybe they don't even go to stop it. Maybe they're playing with their new powers, and then they notice something weird. One of them almost gets carried off. The flying fish tries to jump up out of the water and keeps going up, and they grab him and pull him down. He can't be him because he would know he could fly. So one of the other ones gets knocked out of the water.
And then one of the
Jumbo's playing around and accidentally throws one of them out of the water, and they keep flying off, and they have to form a chain.
And then Octavia and Pinto,
pull them back in, and that's when they notice the water's going. So they go, they try to tell their parents, they don't believe them, so they have to go on this grand quest.
Right.
Find the spirit of the ocean.
And then all of a sudden, dragons.
Well, they're going to find all the wise spirits to tell them what they should do to solve it.
Right, because the dragons broke out of the core.
Ancient beings, the dragons.
The dragons broke out of the core, and then the dragons they need to reach in order to reverse the speed issue, right? And they're like totally down. They just didn't know. And
each one of the spirits identifies with one of the characters, so it's like kind of their spirit guide that's helping them.
Like that, the golden compass.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like each one of them, and it's like this ghost that's also around with them that's giving them advice, and the last one, and Tiny's the last one who gets his or whatever before he's like, all this stuff. Tiny.
It's they.
Tiny's going. I mean, it could be a non-binary.
This was your idea.
They. It's they.
Is it a they? It could be a non-binary character.
Okay, let's go with it.
Sure.
Let's have a non-binary.
It's a wagon.
I thought we were talking about Tiny the trout.
What?
The tuna.
That's right.
I thought we nixed that character for the shrimp.
Oh, it's the flying fish. But what's the flying fish's name?
Yeah. We have not given it. Flex.
I was thinking Fred.
Okay, it can be better.
Amelia.
Yes.
Her name's Amelia.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we could make Jumbo the non-binary shrimp.
Yep. Jumbo the non-binary shrimp.
And then...
Yes. Absolutely.
And so they go on this thing. They have to get all the spirit animals so that they can find their way to get to the core. And, in the end...
All in Vaporwave, by the way.
Yeah, in the end, they have to go through all these trials. As they're making their way deeper down, it's harder and harder to get through. They need the aid of all their spirit animals that they call upon. But when they finally get there, they're still the final...
Wait, so they're animals with spirit animals?
They call upon the ghosts of the ocean.
Of their ancestors.
Okay.
The ancestral ocean.
Let's get into these ghosts. What are they like?
What's going on?
Where do they come from? What do they do?
I forgot what I was going to say now. I like the idea that they're kind of more these, instead of being like these individual spirits, they're more like this collective mind of...
Like the council, almost.
It's like the knowing. It's like the collective consciousness.
Kind of like...
Yeah.
Kind of like...
Thank you.
Do you guys ever watch Avatar: The Last Airbender cartoon?
Absolutely.
Yes.
When he sees the spirits of the Avatar, but it's like all of the Avatar together.
Yeah, so what I would like it to be is like this collective knowing, and that is the representation of the ocean.
Can it be a whale?
Okay.
I think one of them could be a whale.
Can the visual representation of it be the whale?
Yeah, maybe it could be... Maybe it could be something like each of these spirits represents like an idea. Like one is strength, and one is knowledge, and one is like...
So there are 7 of them? Or 16?
I think there's
there's the 7 sins, but there's also the 7
And the 16
virtues,
personality
right?
types.
Interesting. So there are 14 spirits of the ocean.
No, I'm not saying that there are. They don't deal with the 7 sins. Well, they could. But I'm saying there's a real concept. There are the 7 sins, but there's also the 7 virtues. I do not know what they are off the top of my head.
So what different forms do these does this spirit
These
of the ocean
virtues
take?
suck.
So
Yes, they do.
Chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, patience, kindness, humility. Actually, the only one that's
For
weird is
the
chastity.
children.
Yeah, so let's
I
just
don't
call
want
it sit, or let's replace chastity because we're creative people. We can just do that.
Truth.
Yes.
Yeah. Truth.
Yeah. Bro, that's what's missing.
Temperance also, I think, should be reworded. Instead of temperance, it should be like,
Temperature.
what's it like being able to control yourself?
I would say level-headedness is what I was thinking, but it takes too long.
I have a better term. Stoicism.
No.
No.
Calm. We just keep it simple for the children.
I mean-
Honestly, yeah, calm.
Or how about compassion? Why did I just
Okay.
say it like that?
I
But
feel
yes.
like charity is compassion.
And so is kindness.
Yeah.
What is temperance technically? Oh, so it's like a quality. So it's like it's like it is like truth.
Yeah. And some of these have different words that are a bit like I like diligence, persistence I like better than diligence. Mercy or forgiveness I like patience. I think patience and forgiveness are different. We could replace temperance with forgiveness, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
And then kindness, humility.
So
Truth.
truth.
Yeah.
For the children.
For the children.
Truth. We could do truth, forgiveness.
Mercy. Right? Isn't mercy kind of like
I feel like Jumbo's the one that's gonna have to deal with like mercy.
that is true.
Because Jumbo don't leave survivors.
Right.
I love Jumbo
I
the
do
non-binary
too.
shrimp. Jumbo the non-binary shrimp.
Vaporwave 1s and 0s in the background.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, they gotta find. They each
Thank you.
their shortcoming related to their sin opposite of their virtue or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, not their sin. We won't call it that, but like in most
Your
children's
sh-
thing,
They're
they-
shortcomings.
they
Sure,
do
thank
something
you.
that's not great, and they have to have something else that like they're put in a situation where they have to be kind, or they have to forgive, or they have to like be patient when they always rush. Like the crab, his will be patience will be his opposite because he's super fast, but he has to learn that he can't always be super fast and like all this other stuff.
That's how he figures out that he like has to like stop, figure out his next move.
Yeah. And I think through all this, and they gather up their spirits, and then when they get to the very end, they're able to call on these spirits to aid them in some capacity to help them move a big rock or like open some door or like
And build the dead fish bridge to the dragons.
well, we nixed the dead
ghost
fish.
bridge.
We nixed the
Sorry,
ghost bridge
I-
because Flex, what do we? No, Amelia has to fly
That's
to
right.
the dragons
That's
themselves.
right.
And then she gets to fly with the dragons in the end.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is there a love story in there?
No,
Good.
I'm not going to have this fish lay pipe with these dragons.
For the
Last
children.
time.
What if
Last
we just
time.
make a new
Stop
species?
trying to get these fish to Linnea.
I get that.
I just want more fish. I love sushi.
So the dragons exist in this world sort of outside of time.
Yes.
So
Yeah, no.
when Amelia jumps out of the water and jumps into this
And
different
they had to
time,
go on this long ass quest just to get Amelia to this point where she could jump.
But they don't even know she can. Like they don't know that they're going to get to this point and they're going to be stopped. They get to that point and they see the water's not touching anymore and like, we can't get down into the dragons. What are we going to do? And Amelia's like, this might be goodbye, guys, but this is the best I can do. And she jumps out of the water and like, she's like holding her breath, and then finally she can't stand anymore. She breathes in, but she can breathe, and she's flying, and she can control herself and move around. And then she goes and soars down to the dragon, and they're like, "Well, hi there. What is your name?" And she's like, "I'm Amelia. Nice to meet you."
So here's the problem.
Also, just like giving
Just
voice
like-
act all these
Yeah.
characters.
I'm Amelia. Nice to meet you. Anyways.
So
Yeah, she should be like country, like
yeah.
there.
So
I'm
Amelia eventually comes back with the dragons. So for her, it's been like an hour, but for the fish,
Oh,
the fish
because of
there,
the
it's
time
been
frame.
years.
No. I don't. Well, but that seems like kind of dark for a kid's thing. Like
I
all
mean-
our friends are grown up, and like she.
I
To
don't.
Inception.
Maybe not. Maybe
Wait,
not like.
wrong movie.
But like, I feel like we have to
This
get the
movie.
time in there somewhere.
I like the idea more as like maybe she spends the night, and when she comes back, it's only been 10 seconds.
There we go.
Okay.
Time is longer in the
Yeah.
on the land than it is in the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be very comedic. Like, gone, all this shit happens, and then she gets back. And
Like she meets the
And somebody's
dragons, and
still
she's flying around with,
disappearing.
and then she's like, "Oh my, we gotta go, we gotta go, and then they fly back, and she's like, "I'm so sorry, guys, I forgot," because she like spends the night there and stuff like, and they're like, "What are you talking about? You've
So,
been gone like 10 seconds."
When Amelia leaves,
yeah.
right? Somebody's taking a piss, and she gets back, and they're still taking the piss.
For the
Oh,
children.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
One of them is eating
A sandwich.
a sandwich.
There we go.
Yeah.
And the sandwich still
That was
looks
my-
the same.
Jumbo,
Yeah,
the non-binary
he's still
shrimp,
chewing.
is eating
A
his sandwich.
little sandwich.
And so it's gonna take him a while to eat this regardless, but he still hasn't made much of a dent in it by the time Amelia gets back. That could be like the big indicator
Yeah,
that time is working different on these 2 planes.
Exactly,
Is-
exactly. The sandwich lack of disappearing.
So what if Jumbo is constantly eating throughout the entire
Jumbo
Agree.
is always snacking down.
Have you ever eaten a shrimp and it had like that weird poo line in it?
We're not.
Leave Jumbo out of your.
But I do like the idea. Maybe Jumbo's like super strength, like takes a lot of energy, so like
Yeah,
he has to eat a lot.
There
To,
we
like,
go.
and
Jumbo's not my
Yeah.
shrimps. Which is probably my
The
favorite
best,
character
the
we've
best.
created so far.
I think so.
but you know,
Ones and zeros. Okay.
I think we're pretty close to time, honestly.
We are.
I
mean, what's unfortunate is that we haven't been able, because I bet we could really develop this on the dragon side as well. And it's unfortunate that we
So-
haven't had time for that.
Well, I mean, let's just kind of
Just
like
it.
summarize our dragons. Like, what are they? Are
They
they more
burst
like
out and,
realistic or like
and
you know
they eat
cartoonish?
and they eat shrimp. Or, I'm sorry,
No.
they eat fish, right?
I think the dragons don't eat fish. We talked about that early on, but once again, I do think it's a little bit too much if they're having to convince them not to eat fish on top of it. Like I like the
forced
idea more.
veganism is still a topic.
Well, yeah, but like the force of veganism is the society in general doesn't eat meat,
Okay.
because they don't eat each other.
Right.
Yeah, there we go.
I think
Okay.
that I think the dragons are really just like they just do their own thing. Like they're just not part of like after they broke out, they just live like and
Yeah.
they live and like they
And what sustains them? Like, what's on the earth that which sustains them? I guess.
Plants.
love.
Her.
I mean, I would imagine maybe that these dragons are just sort of ancient beings.
Do
and
they
their
are they
sustenance
photosynthesizing?
isn't-
Like, what's going on?
They feast off of space energy that came with the comet, which is what freed them from the core.
So they're vaporwave straight up embodiments.
They feed off of
Vaporwave.
They eat vaporwave.
Okay.
Just like that. That's exactly the noise they make
But-
when they eat vaporwave.
But we'll call
Vaporwave.
it. But we'll need a fun kid's name for it. So what they eat, we could call it sparkle dust. Sparkle.
I mean,
star.
we
They
can-
could just eat stardust or whatever. That's what the vaporwave is. Is
We're
stardust.
all just stardust.
Yep.
I'm not joking. I'm just
I
like,
know,
what if,
I
just,
know,
what if
I
the vaporwave
completely
is just
agree.
stardust? Then,
Yeah.
like
I
Yeah.
mean, that
And so-
is the essence of vaporwave.
the
Is
dragons
stardust.
consume the
So-
stars.
I mean, if our bust of Julius Caesar came from
Is-
space, we can
yeah.
imagine that the rest of space is also
the community,
vaporwave.
Could it
vaporwave
actually-
community will agree.
could it be a little bit of a rough bust? So it's like a white meteorite that kind of looks like a face, just so there's a little bit of deniability that it's
Yes.
not like a carved Julius Caesar statue.
I mean, I can make that in post. Here's my attempt. Okay.
Just like a meteorite that's been kind of shaped like Julius
just
Caesar's
the
head.
slight- It's just like the nose and like a little bit, like the front edge of the hair, and that's it.
But the color theme or the color look is vaporwave, and there might be some grids.
And
Just-
everything surrounding it surrounding the meteorite looks and sounds like
There's
vaporwave.
another meteorite that looks like an old Dell computer. Like,
But it's like the
launches into
Windows
palm trees.
95.
yeah.
Palm trees. MS Paint.
Yeah, and there's the flooded palm trees that they're surrounded by. Because and that's like they can go through like a ruined city. Like there's a bunch of cool environments that we were talking about.
A bunch of dragons that
like they
feed
could
off of
literally go
coconuts.
through an abandoned shopping mall that for some reason still has the neon
Dragons
lights
eat
working.
space.
Like imagine they're going through this ancient not ancient, but this underwater shopping mall as they're going from like
strip
store to
mall?
store. Yeah,
Okay.
and like then some reason the lights are still working. So there's like these neon lights and like the old tile and like all this other
And
stuff.
these dragons are just kind of like.
The dragons are not involved in this part.
Wait. Okay.
The dragons are in the center of the earth in like
Still?
their vaporwave.
Oh, pre-dragons?
Well, so
Walnut
Mhm.
crack?
A lot of this is gonna happen without us seeing any dragons.
Okay.
The dragons are like the Deus Ex Machina, basically, like at the very end, like
Macarena?
Deus Ex Macarena's up.
Deus Ex Machina.
I do like the Deus Ex Macarena, which is like
Hey,
it's like
Macarena.
doing, it's like doing a conga line, but like with a bunch of gods.
Oh my god, conga lines are so fucking
And a
weird.
bust of Julius Caesar.
Conga lines are weird.
Thank you for sharing. Anyway,
I have many thoughts on conga lines.
and
Anyways,
you'll have to join us on our other podcast where we talk
about
exclusively about dancing.
And
I
But
hear
conga lines?
I think that's gonna be it for today. I did think this was gonna be a wrench throwing in the children's thing, just because usually our things tend to center around existential horror and sex jokes. So
this one was a little wackety doodah.
this one was wackety doodah. I think
there's a
there
cat.
is a children friendly idea here. Our presentation was not children friendly,
I'll
but
just
I think there is a very cute story here. Dog.
repeat last statement.
I think Sir?
Shh, don't respond to him.
I think there is a very cute story in here.
I agree.
And definitely some very cute characters.
I
A
don't
lot of
know.
merchandising.
This non-binary shrimp though.
Jumbo the non-binary shrimp.
will be the next Baby
Hold on.
Yoda.
I feel like maybe I really want that almost to be the title. I want this story to be
was-
centered around Jumbo the non-binary shrimp.
But what was that OG title that we?
Ghosts in the water.
Yeah, that was nothing. I was just saying words.
I know.
Oh, we do need
I
a
think-
title.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's-
Ghosts in the water is not going to work anymore.
Um.
I immediately want to go to like Fish Pals, but
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that's the way to go, unless it was like.
Hold on.
Wonder Fish.
Chow mix? No.
Chums.
Chum mix. That's the word I was looking for. Chum.
Chums.
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 Chums is pretty good.
Chums.
Chums. That's
Chums.
it.
Chums.
That's it.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Dusty chums.
Dusty Chums?
Sorry, Stardust. I want a word thrown in front
Cosmic
of it.
Chums.
Yeah,
Star
something
Chum.
like that.
Star
Chums.
Chums.
Cosmic Chums is not terrible.
It's not terrible.
Well, I mean,
Super Chums.
Meteorific chums. No.
I like Super Chums.
Super Chums.
I don't like super chums because super is like.
I want to say Vapor Chums because of all the Vaporwave influence, but that's not the image I think we want to go
Wave Chum.
for. Chum Wave. Wave Chum.
Yeah, I think it's Chums. I think it's gonna have
Chums,
to be
fine.
Chum.
Chums.
Chums.
Anyway,
A delightful story about a group of fish that work together
yep, this is
with
Sea
Vaporwave
creatures?
powers.
Sea creatures?
very because I guess they are all
They.
fish. But that's been episode 10
Oh my god.
of
World
Construction
building.
Inc., our world building podcast. We'll have to see you in another 10, I guess. And I did mention someone's going to die, so hey, right after we start recording, can you just kill Josh?
Oh,
Just
for
so you
sure.
don't look like
No
a
problem.
so
I
you don't
mean-
look like a liar in front of the cameras.
I was right.
I was gonna. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I can do. Yeah.
Josh,
Josh.
you can kill Linnea.
You guys,
Okay.
the gender balance they. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
Anyway.
We'll let you know how that goes.
Anyway, thank you once again, and until next time, happy building.
What's your name?
I
thought
already
we.
said the
I
sign
thought
up.
we. I
You have
thought
to
we
say at the
always.
end.
I'm Josh
Even-
Robbins.
I'm Anthony Wilkinson.
Still Linnea.
Just turn off the camera.
Oh,
Get away
shit.
from my face. I'm done with this. That is enough. Honestly.